Okay, hi all. I am going to just introduce you to drawing a simple plan, and this can be found in produced computer aided drawings under your exercises part. If you scroll down, you should come across drawing simple objects. All right. So for this, it's seen as an exercise task, and I would like you to send it to me, upload it, and be able to send this to me so that I can be able to see where you all at and help you along before you actually start your main assessment. So basically, what we're going to do is this is part one, to redraw the objects within dimensions using AutoCAD, and part two, to reproduce the plan provided of a room using AutoCAD and copy the selected furniture items into the to be inserted as per plan. So what we're going to be looking at here is the drafting symbol. All right. So this is just good to practice in AutoCAD. So I would like you to draw these up. Okay, just as is. All right. We're going to be concentrating on these three because we're going to be inserting them into the floor plan. Okay. So basically, this gets you to practice your understanding of dimensioning items, and you should have understood a scale ruler when it comes to technical drawing, as well as understanding text heights and dimension heights for drawings. So I'm not going to go over that too much, but I will just touch on them when we get to that part of text and dimensioning. Okay, so I'm just going to reduce that, and I'm going to pull up the next one, which is floor plan. And we are going to look at drawing a simple room floor plan, 7 meters by 5 meters. We always work in millimeters, so hence why it's 7,000 by 5,000. And the wall thickness is 200. So that represents a double brick wall, all right? Because generally a brick wall is around 100 mils. And we are going to go through that, and we're going to look at practicing by seeing how you have utilized the videos in the practice videos, and able to take that information and actually implement it. So we're looking at drawing up a window, and then looking at inserting two doors. All right. Then we're going to actually take those simple objects that you've drawn, and you are going to insert them into the floor plan, and then we're going to look at adding some text to that, and I'm just going to add some dimensions. All right, and then be able to take that through to getting it ready to be printed out by having it on a A4 piece of paper sheet, and be able to print that to a scale of 1 to 50. Okay. So basically that's what I'm going to be doing, some short videos, so that you can be able to upload this for me to see. Okay, so I'm just going to reduce that. So I would suggest that you do have this printed out or placed on your second monitor so that you can actually follow what is required of you to complete. Okay, generally this is what you'd be doing in industry. Someone gives you some concept ideas, and you've got to be able to implement that into AutoCAD so that you get a set of working drawings and print that out in A3, A0, A1, etc., and be able to deliver it to council or to the client or to the builder. Okay, so with that said, I'm just going to reduce that because I don't have two monitors. I'm just going to reduce that. Okay, and we're going to go, well, let's just keep that one up actually for now, because we're going to be drawing the furniture first. Okay, so I'm just going to go into AutoCAD. Alright, so pull up your AutoCAD. You should come up to your start menu, and I want you to go from start. I want you to go over here where it says here open files, get more templates online. Alright, Alright, so AutoCAD 2018 templates should appear, and I want you to scroll down and go to this one, a CAD ISO.DWT. Create drawings using metric units, because we use metric units, and ISO dimensioning settings and color-based plot styles. Okay, excellent. So let's click on that as our drawing template, and you're going to actually save that as your drawing. It says open. All right, excellent. Now it probably would appear that let's just go into home, that you don't have this here. I've set mine up to have this. This is the properties menu. All right, drop down menu. So let's just close that, and I'll talk about that now. So basically it opens up as drawing one. We are going to save this. So let's save it in your hard drive on your computer, or if you've got an external, save it there, or on your USB. And I'm going to say save as a drawing, because that's what we want it to be. We don't want it to, we're converting it from a drawing template now to a drawing. Okay. And I'm going to find where my let's just go into documents, much easier. Right. And oh, you'd think that I would be able to find this a little bit easier. I'm going to save it to my external, which is Toshiba. So click on that. And I'm saving it to my subject or my unit, all right, which is your unit. And I'm going to save it in as task 1 exercise. And I'm going to call it simple floor plan. I'm going to just call that 2 because I've already got one there. So save. All right, so you can actually save it as your name and surname. So mine is Robin Rudd, so I could also do that. And I could say task 1 practice. That's a good way of doing it. Maybe put your name and surname and task 1 practice. Okay, and we're going to save that there. All right, and it is a drawing, so it's .dwg. All right, so there's a whole lot here. So we're going to keep that as 2018 because that's what we're working in. So let's save that there. Save. Excellent. Now it should appear up there. That's your pathway at the top. All right. Just to recap, because I suppose some of you have, just need a bit of a recap. So of course we're going to be looking at the home ribbon, which is this whole part here again. This is where you save items. So your big capital A, your application menu. This is your access toolbar, quick access toolbar. Some of you might not have that at the top, so I'm just going to switch that off for now. All right, so these are your drawing panel, your modify, your layers, your properties, and I'm going to be looking at blocks. Okay. This is your status bar again down here. All right, very important. These are drawing aids that help manipulate your drawing tools. Okay, so currently my grid is on, as you can see there. Okay, I can switch that off, and it switches it off. And then we also have I like to have dynamic input on. All right, so that's off at the moment. If you don't have that there, go to your customization drop down. So click on those 3 lines over there, and you can actually put your dynamic input on by clicking that on, and it appears then down here. Okay, so if there's some of these icons that are missing, you can always go here and pull it all up. And then we need to put on our tracking settings, and I like to keep it at 45, so let's just do that. Okay, and let's put on our endpoint, midpoint, center, quadrant, intersection. I'm going to switch that off, and extension and perpendicular off. All right, so I just really need those at the top, and make sure you toggle it on by turning it blue. So that's the word toggle. So when it's switched on, it's toggled on or toggled off, which is gray. Okay, we are in one-to-one. This is infinity, black space. So you can literally, if you had the time, draw space or draw the universe, but we don't have time for that. So we are just in model space, as you can see. So this is space, and this is known as the interface. All right. Again, just to recap this, to refresh your brain, this is the navigation tool bar here. Very important to zoom in and out. All right. So you just click on where it highlighted blue, toggled on, zoom extend or zoom all. All right. Excellent. Okay. So before we start drawing, we're really wanting to get into the practice of identifying that this is our drawing area, because I said it is infinity. You could be drawing a drawing up here, and you could be drawing a drawing somewhere way up here, and or you're zooming in and out and you just don't know where your drawing is, and it can be quite confusing. So you're wanting creating a limitation or a drawing area that prevents losing your drawing. So you're going to be creating a invisible rectangular space. All right. So I would set this up, and that is called limits. So we're going to type in that word. So I'm going to just go down here, and I'm going to click onto my little command line down here, and I'm going to press limits. All right. So LIM. And it should appear, the word. So there it is there, limits. Excellent. All right. And I am going to press enter, because I want that to be 0.0, which is somewhere down here where my X and Y is, where X and Y meet. That is the starting point of my drawing. And then I want to be able to create this invisible rectangular spot up there somewhere, so that creates this area. So I've identified my first lower left corner, which is 0.0, so I press enter, and then I'm going to give it a maximum of up here to the upper right hand corner, which I want it to be around about, and you can make anything up because it's a small drawing at the moment, but generally just think of how big your area is. So if you're drawing 7,000, ultimately you want to look at maybe let's say maybe 20,000. So I'm going to type in 20,000, and then I'm going to put a comma, and I'm going to say 20, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and I'm going to go enter. All right. So that's given me that. So you can see that when I typed it in, I was only typing down here. I actually like my dynamic input on, so then I can, if I'm wanting to choose a line, do you see how the little box appears with the cursor now? All right, when I had it off and I choose the line, there's nothing. All right, so that is what dynamic input does. All right, so I quite like that. Okay. So by creating that limitation, that's really good. So before I did that, let's just repeat that. I'm actually going to just do limits again. So I'm just going to type in limits. All right. So we just get in the practice of that. Here, on, off. There we go. We're going to say that's all correct. We want it at 0.0. And so we're going to say enter. And then it says specify upper right hand corner, and that said 20,000 by 20,000, and we're going to go enter. And then just to make sure that that is set, we then go into zoom all. All right, so you actually type the word zoom. All right, click zoom, and then we go all. We click on all. All right, and then we press enter. Okay, and we can go escape. Now we've set that as our limitation. You basically don't see it. It's an invisible rectangle that you've created. It's like a window into this like infinity that you're going to be working in. So if I want to draw down here and I want to draw up there and I want to draw there and there and there, and I don't know where that drawing is, but I want to find it, then I just go here and I go zoom all right, and it kind of zooms everything in, which is great. Okay, so that's just setting my limitations, so you can actually see that I'm within a certain area here. Okay, so now that I've set the stage or set my drawing area, I'm now going to create some layers. Okay, and you will get into the habit of this. There isn't any notes with this because ultimately you are going to be in industry, and with industry no one says, oh, you need to do this layer, this line at this layer. Okay, so I'm going to run you through this, and I know that we've touched on it in the practice exercises, but I am going to just reiterate that. All right, so we click on, we're still in Home tab, we run along, Draw, Modify, Annotation, and we go to Layer Properties and we double click. Okay, and you'll see that there's only one layer created because it is a new drawing, and we're going to create more. So we're going to explode, not explode, we're going to use our little explosion sign there, but we're going to create a new layer. And of course this layer literally copies everything from the layer above. All right, so we need to modify that. So we're going to create some layers. So the first layer we're going to create is, of course, we need to create some walls. So we're going to say walls, and our brick wall we're wanting to, you can create any color you want, but just for this exercise try and copy what I'm doing so then everyone follows suit. All right, you change the color by clicking on the white little block here, so just click, then a select color drop down box comes up, and we're going to choose yellow as our walls. All right, so that's color number 2. So you can run along there and you can see all the colors. So we're choosing color number 2, and we go OK. For now we do want it to be a continuous line. All right, and for now we're going to just default it. All right, I'll explain to you why we're doing that, because here's the printer. Okay, then we're going to create another layer, and we're going to call this furniture. All right, because we have to create some furniture, and we're going to make furniture red. Okay, and we're also going to give it a continuous line. Then we're going to create another layer that is going to be called dimensions. Or you could actually just call it dim, whatever's easiest. All right, and we're going to keep it also red. All right, and then we're going to create another layer, and oopsie, because I am in that layer. All right, walls, dimension, furniture, layer. So layer 1, we are going to look at text. All right, so anything that you're going to write, and we're going to make that white, so color 7. Okay, we're also going to have some hatching to add to that, and so we're going to go hatch, and we're going to change that to gray. Let's make it a light gray, let's make it 9. We're going to go OK. And then we are going to add another layer called viewport. All right, it'll make sense in a little while. And we're going to make that magenta. We're going to go OK. And then we need some doors and windows that we have to insert. So we're going to do that as a new layer. and we're going to say doors and windows, or let's say doors and windows. Alright, if you don't see the words, you can always just grab it on the edge, then pull it outwards. Okay, and we're also going to keep that as magenta, alright, in that color. And then we are going to create another one, which sounds quite strange, but it's going to be border sheet. Border sheet. Okay, and we're going to keep that as white. Okay, and for now I think that's okay. We might add some as we go through the video. All right, but just to quickly move that away so that you can just see what I have created there. But basically that's what we're going to be looking at. Okay, working with those layers. So let me just introduce this now. So the reason why we're creating layers is that we are identifying each object that we draw. When I say object, that means a line from A to B that produces a drawing. So for this floor plan with the furniture in it, we literally are cutting that floor plan at about 1 meter off the ground level. And this should be have been, or you should have come across this at some point in the previous subjects that you've done, especially if you've done technical drawn drawings, where they tell you about pen thicknesses, and each because we can't do colored drawings, and sometimes I wish we could, but we can't, and everything comes out as black and white as a printed drawing, we've got to identify which lines are thicker and which lines are thinner. And how we do that is that we assign each color right here to a line weight, which then in printing, which in AutoCAD they called plot, these would be then assigned to a specific pen thickness. Okay, and it will make sense for you when it comes to your final assessment, because there is a external file on the Moodle website that you download, and that is assigned to your plotter, which is your printer, and that will print out those lines to the correct line thickness. So let's just go back a few steps and say, what did Robin mean by saying 1 meter off the ground? So literally, if you take a knife and you slice this room that we're looking at from a bird's eye view at 1 meter off the ground, everything closest to that 1 meter line would be seen as the thickest line. So like your walls, for instance, like your windows and doors, they'll also be quite thick lines. But your hatching, creating the wall color, maybe not so important. So that would be at a thinner line, drawn at a thinner line. Your text and your dimensions would be at a slightly not such a heavy line. So that's how I differentiate my or assign my line or my layers to my line weights. All right. So for instance, the walls would be yellow, and yellow would be the thickest line, so I'd make that around about 0.5 thick. So think of a pencil, which is 0.5. It's quite dark in color when you draw with it, even though you don't even add any pressure to it. That would be quite dark and quite a thick nib. And then of course our next thickest line would be seen as magenta, which then would be at 0.35, and then the red would represent 0.18, and then the white would represent 0.1, for instance. So that's how your thickness is, and the hatch would also be around about the 0.15. So just to kind of give you a idea there. Okay, so you can actually change that line weight here. So you can actually choose that. So if I was going into, I could keep that at naught. All right, so that's very little. Then I could go to over here, which means I can change that dimension line to 0.18. All right, and then I could change that to 0.3. Oh, sorry, 0.18. Text, that would be 0.2, and hatch would be 0.5, and viewport will be set at 0, or what was it? Viewport's magenta, so let's keep that at 1.35. And you can actually see it just suddenly goes dark there. 1.35. Oops, done that already. Border sheet would be seen as 0 again, and walls would be seen as the thickest line, which would be I'd say 5. Okay, so you can actually see that as the lines get thicker, they get wider and thicker. So there we go. So we can actually do it in model space, and maybe just so that you understand it, I'll just leave it at this. But generally, people also sign it in layout space, and then that's where the thickness gets introduced. So you should have seen that in the videos that I've uploaded previously, but we'll just keep that at that for now. It's not a biggie. If it defaults, then you should have a file that it defaults to in when you're setting up the page setup manager. Okay, so let's just leave it. That's okay. So I'm quite happy with that. Now let's start off with doing our furniture first. All right. So I'm going to set that as current because that's what we're going to start drawing. And I'm closing this box now. All right. So we are going to start off with drawing our furniture. I would like you to try and attempt all those symbols. All right. But for this exercise, I'm just going to concentrate on drawing the furniture here. So I'm going to choose my line. You always choose your command, that you've got to give it a command. So AutoCAD knows down here, line specifies first point. So great. Start, and what does it say? It's 2,000. It's 2 meters wide, so 2,000. So let's type in 2,000. Enter. Alright, so you can actually see it's quite small there. I'm just going to zoom in and then go down by 200. And then we go down by 700. Enter. And then I can close this box. Alright. So I'm just joining it up there. And then, oops, too wide. Okay, so let's just erase that. Let's start again. We've got too enthusiastic there. Type in 7,000. So you pull your cursor in the direction you want, and then you just type in 7,000. All right. Oh, not 7,000. What was I doing? 2,000. Apologies for that. So let's do that again. Good practice, I suppose. 2,000. Enter. And then pull it up, and you should be able to connect to that. Alright, or C for close. Enter. Oh, there you go. Okay. Now let's draw this line here. There was it there, along to there, because that's the back of the couch, remember? Or we can just offset that actually. That's probably easier to 200. Offset 200, enter. There we go. Pull it in the direction you want and press enter. Okay. Now we want to offset also this line here, so the one that I'm highlighting. So we've selected the command, which is offset. Now it says offset, specify offset distance through erase layers. So we're going to say through, all right, which is what it is. And gosh, through, and we're selecting the object, and we're pulling it in the direction, and we're going to give it a distance of 200. All right, and then we're going to do the same for that one because it's got a pick point. All right, and we're picking it, and we're going to say 200, enter. All right, now that you've got that, you can actually clean it up by trimming that part there. All right, so if you're wanting to select objects, you can select the object that you want to trim to. Okay, so that one there, enter, and then erase that one there. All right, or the quick version of that, let me just go back again, is to just choose that, and it's select objects. I just need to just quickly erase that one, so I just press enter again, and it just allows me to select the objects I'm wanting to erase. Okay, so that's also another way of doing it. All right, now we need to create the 3 divisions here, and you should have in your practice exercises come across array around a center. We're going to do it around a rectangle, so rectangle. Okay, we're wanting to array this line here so that I can get my seats. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just to make things a little bit easier for you, I found this tool quite handy. So if you go to utilities, you'll see this little measuring tool. Click on that and see what that distance is from there to there, and it says 1600. Now you know that if you divide that by 3, 1600 divided by 3 works out to be 533.33. all right, so you could either offset that or you can choose array. Okay, so if you want to offset it, that's the easiest probably. If you're wanting to just get a bit more technical, then you choose that one there and you say enter, and then it's asking us how many columns, how many lines. So we want 1, 2, 3. So we don't want any rows, so we're going to just go 0. We want 4 columns, and we want it between what was it, 533.33, and we want that distance there, and we want it to be 1050. Okay, and I'm not too sure what happened there, so I'm just going to erase that home. So just to not get yourselves confused, let's just go to the front. Let's just offset that. Okay, offset, which was 533.33, enter, and choose that one there. Okay, so you got now your seat, your 3-seater. Okay, does that look like this, the symbol? Perfect. And now we're going to do a single seat. All right, so we're just going to repeat that. We're going to run along here somewhere. We're going to measure that up there, and we're going to go along 200, and then we go along 500, and then 200. All right, pull it down, and we can close it, which is down here. Okay, and then we're going to offset that by 200 again. and we can offset that by 200 there. So I'm still in that command, which works out well. Now mine doesn't look like the drawing, so I need to extend that. So I do my drop down menu, extend to this line and enter there, and enter again to carry on the command. Choose that, enter, and extend there. Alright, then just trim that up and press enter, and I'm still in extend, that's why I trim, and press enter and remove that there. Okay, so there is your single seat and your 3-seater sofa, and now we need to do a coffee table. So let's choose a rectangle. Now to do the rectangle, you just click, pull out, and it's asking you for the area or the dimensions. And so the blue area is asking you for that first distance. You always start with the X value, so it's 800. Add a comma, so press comma on your keypad, and then add 800 again, enter, and there is your rectangle or your polygon. Okay, so that's your coffee table. Excellent. Okay, so now that you will have drawn all of that up, so you can draw up the bed, the table, the dining room table, etc. We're going to start with the floor plan. Okay. To check your measures, you can always go to utilities again, choose measure, and just see if that's all correct. And it is, which is great. Okay, we'll dimension it in a little while. All right, so make sure that's all correct. Let's start with our floor plan. Choose walls because we're doing the outer walls of this room, and you can see that in the notes here. Now that we've completed that, we are going to start with the floor plan. Okay, draw a room 7 meters by 5. Okay, and so let's go back. We are in walls layer. All right, if you're wanting it to show up here, because if I go into annotate, then you sometimes just don't see it. So what I do is I actually go to the drop down menu here, and I go down to layer, and I switch it on, and it appears at the top. So if I'm working in any of the other tabs and I can't see my layer, then I know that I can see it up there at least. So that's just a nifty little quick command. All right. So I can also bring up my properties of each layer that I'm working in by just clicking on that little diagonal arrow, and then there's all the information that I need over there. Okay. So what's happening now is I'm going to start my walls, and let's go somewhere down here. I'm going to draw my walls. Okay, so I'm pulling it outwards, and I'm going in this direction, and I'm going to make that 7,000. So type in 7,000, enter, pull it down. All right, so don't leave a cursor there and type, because it will, if I do that and I type in 5,000, all right, that's how the line will go. So be very careful where you are pulling your cursor, in what direction. So sometimes I actually put ortho mode on, and I actually it then doesn't have that on, it doesn't toggle that on, and that allows me to only go in 90-degree angles, so then I can't go wrong. And I'd say that is 5,000, enter. All right, pull it in this direction here, and I go 7,000, enter, and then I pull it upwards and I close it. All right, now I've got a nice rectangle. All right, so that's my outer wall of my room, and I need to offset that to create the wall depth or thickness. So I need to offset that by 200. All right, and I click on that, pull it in. So I just pull them all in. So that's what you do, pull it in. So if I pull that out, it will end up there. So you don't want to do that. So let's just erase that. Erase. It's okay. You can always go undo, which is up here, or erase. So let's just do offset again. Offset. Okay, specify offset distance. So it's 200, enter. And we are going to just pull that in. Click on the source line and pull it in. All right. Now that I have zoomed in, all right. All right. So if I just show you what that meant when I said zoom all. Oh, it did it already. That's great. So it zooms the drawing in, which is awesome. Okay, so now we need to tidy this all up because, you know, walls don't look like that. So we need to do trim again. All right. Or what you could do, just to practice, you could actually choose fillet. If you use fillet, it's meaning that where the two lines intersect, these on the outer edges will actually get erased. So if I choose this line and this line, voila, it's gone. Press enter again to start the command, there and there. And down here, I'm going to just show you trim again. So we are going to zoom in, we press trim. Make sure you are in trim and not extend. So use the downward arrow there, trim, and go between the source line, which is, well, I just make it easy by going enter, so that allows me multiple selection of lines to delete. So I go enter, and you can actually see a little cross comes up, and there, and there. Okay. So you'll get used to the way you wanting, or what commands you wanting to use. So I'm just showing you there are multiple ways of how to do just one command, okay, or one action. All right, now you've got your wall thickness. We are going to do the cutouts so that we can receive the window and then create. Draw the window up and then insert some doors as blocks so that you can practice knowing how to do that. You can draw it, but I'll show you how to do that. Okay. So you can see that in your notes over here, oopsie, not that one, this one. Over here, you can see that on the edge, outer line, 1,200 in is the start of where the window frame starts, and the window frame is 1,000. Okay, same for the door. It's from the outer line of the building to where the door frame starts. That's 400, and then we've got an opening of 800. Okay, and then we'll insert the furniture. Okay, so let's do that quickly. Minimize. We're going to now look at offset again. It's a very popular tool to use. Okay, and we are going to offset that outer line, which is there. Okay, so let's press offset again, and it's asking us through because we're going to use the same layer. So we select that one, we pull it in, and we give it a distance, which is then 1200. So type in 1200 and press enter. All right, and then escape to get out of that command. And now we're going to trim again. So trim, and we are going to press enter, and we are going to erase that line. Okay. Now you can actually see there's one down here, so just remember to erase that too. Okay. And then we're going to use offset again because we're wanting to create the other side of the window. So we're going to say 1,000. Enter. Select the line. Pull it in the direction you want, and that is 1,000. Okay. So now we've got the window there. That's great. We can now trim those lines there. So I'm going to press enter again. Trim, trim, and that won't allow me to trim, so I've got to just erase those lines. So erase that line and that line. Oops. Erase that line and that line. Press enter to finish the command, and then escape. Alright, so there's my opening for my window. Now we need to do the door, so we choose offset again and we choose the distance there, which is 400. So we type in 400, enter, choose the selected line we want to offset from, pull it upwards, and that's 400. And then we're going to escape, so it's all cancelled all out. And we're going to use trim again, and we're going to press enter, and we're going to just select that line there. Excellent. And then we're going to offset those two lines now, and they are at 800 as an opening door. And we're going to select there and there, and select there and there. Finish the command by pressing enter and escape. Okay. Now we can erase those lines, trim that line. So we press enter, and there and there, and there and there. Okay. Right. Now that we have got our openings ready, we are going to look at that video that I uploaded in your practice exercises about blocks. All right. So we are first going to create a window because we do not have a block for it. So we are going to go into our Windows layer, doors and windows, there we go, and we are going to create our window. Now you'll know that it has a outer frame, so we're going to go from there to there to there to there to there. All right. And we're going to create the glass, which is in the middle of the frame, to there to there. Okay. So that is showing that we've got now a window there. Okay, that's like if you slice through that frame, you'll see the outer frame of the window, and then that middle line represents the glass. Okay. I mean, you could get technical and change that line to be a thinner line and make that under its own layer called glass or glazing. But for now, let's just keep things simple. And then we can now actually make that a block. If you're wanting to save it, the way to make a block is that you then select the items. Alright, so make sure you select all of them. All the grip points appear, so all those little blue dots appear, and you type in BL for block, and you can call it window win 1000 for the length of it. You can specify on screen where you want to move it, or use it for later to actually identify where you're inserting that block. And then we want to convert it to a block, and we want to allow exploding, and that's about it. So we go OK, and we escape. So now you can actually see sorry, let me just see. I think I didn't say convert to block. Let me just do that again. And block. Oh, 1000. I didn't pick the point, so let's pick point. Oh, pick point. Let's do that. And then convert to block, and we go OK, and enter. Okay, okay. Oh, cancel. Now it's a block. You can actually see when I run over it, it's a block. So a block means that it's now made that those objects, those many lines, to be grouped together to make a symbol which is known as a block. So if I want to insert another one of those, I go to block, insert, more options, and I go down, and there's my window, and I go OK, and now I can insert it if I want to do another window, just say over here. Okay. And there's another window there. Of course, I'd have to do that cutout, but so that just shows you that you can actually repeat that without having to draw it every time. So now that we've practiced that, we're going to look at inserting a dynamic block. So dynamic block is blocks that have been created for AutoCAD and are used universally, so throughout the world. So how do you get to that? You go to insert. I'm not thinking, sorry, view, tool palettes. So did you see that? View, tool palettes. And it should architectural, if it's in something else, just go to architectural and go into door, even if it says in door metric, which is great because we are working in metric. So door metric. And here is our door. Okay. Now you can actually see that it needs to be flipped. So if I had to do that there, connect that, I'm going to just flip it around, sense the direction of the swing. And there we go. And I'm going to make it 90 degrees. And there it is there. Okay. So now we can move that. So I'm going to just highlight it. Oh, it is highlighted. And we're going to go to home. And we are going to go to move. So moving it will allow me to move it. Right, so I need to just make that off. And you're wanting it to insert here in the middle, there. And then we're going to add that there by pulling that outwards. So you can see that there's little grip points. So these are all to do. And I said, if you hover over them, it says set the angle of the door opening, which I did. I made it instead of 35 degrees, I made it opening up at 90 degrees. That sets the direction of the swing. That turns it round, so I can bring it in there, or I can, if I press on it again, it swings it all the other way, or I can set it that direction or that direction. So you just got to play around and see how you can flip it and manipulate it. That gives it a distance. So there's 800. I typed in 800, or you can type in 800, or you can just drag it. So that's quite cool. So there's your door there. And now I'm wanting to mirror that and put one here. So I can either practice that again by doing another one, which is door metric. The minute you click on that, it immediately inserts it into your drawing. Or I can actually just mirror that. So mirror, all right, and I am going to mirror that, and it goes in which direction? That direction there. Okay, so I'm going to do that so I can pull it 90 degrees. And it says there, do you want to erase the source object? This is the source object. I do not want to erase it because I want to keep it there, and I'm going to move that one over here. All right, so I'm going to say no, and I'm going to take that object and I'm going to move it, all right, to here. And now I've got my door swing opening in on that direction and my door swing opening in from that direction. So with my video, just stop it or pause it and then do the action and then do it again and see what I've done. All right, there's just a lot of playing around there. Right, now that you've got that installed, you can just close that. All right, so that's how you went. So you To find those dynamic blocks, you go to View, and you go to Tool Palettes, and that drop down menu appears, and you go to Architectural, and don't choose Imperial, because that's not what we work in. We work in metric, so door metric there. Okay. There is one that says window metric, so you could try and just use the window metric and insert there. But I just need to show you how you could work with creating a block. Okay. All right, then we're going to insert our furniture. So we are going to pull our furniture. We are going to go to Home again. We are going to go to Move, and we are going to copy that. Not copy, move it, enter, and we're going to go from the center point here. Now I do have my ortho mode on, so I click that off because I want to position it somewhere around here so that I've got a bit of a gap between the wall. And then I'm going to, what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to rotate this. So let's rotate because it is in the opposite direction. Enter. And I am going to rotate that, put my ortho on, pull it down, and it pulls it in that direction. I'm going to make 2 of those, so I'm copying, enter, pull that out. Okay, let's just move this a little down, and I'm going to rotate that now. Rotate, and there we go. So you just have to play around by pulling it. So I've pulled it 180 degrees, and now it's flipped it around to face each other. I now can move that one first, enter, in the middle there, switch off my ortho mode because then I can actually move it in the correct position, put it there somewhere, and I'm going to move this object highlighted by using the selection box. Alright, again, let's just go through that again. Move, select move, click at the top once and click at the bottom. That is a green selection box. Click, press enter, check, select a point to move that, and then move it in line so that it works with this line here. Alright, so they line up. Oh, there we go. And now we have our 3-seater sofa with 2 single chairs, and let's do 2 coffee tables. So let's move this one, selection box, top corner, bottom left corner, click, enter. Where we're going to move it, let's use the midpoint there, and let's get it in the midpoint of the window down here and there, midpoint, so that it all fits in line. And now we're going to copy that. Copy, enter, and let's move it along in. I use my ortho mode again just to get that straight on and line it up there so that it all lines up. Alright, so now that I have that all in position, I have my floor plan, and I just have to do my hatching, which I choose going to my layer that says hatch, select hatch. I want it to be solid, or we can choose it here, solid, or we can select it there. And I'm wanting to use the current layer that I'm in, and now I just zoom in so that it's nice and clear. What I can also do is I can, if it's all down small like that, I can also just go here again and go zoom all, pulls it all in, and or zoom extends, just brings it up closer. There we go, that's what I want. And I'm going to click there, and I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click there. And now I'm going to go enter and escape. And now I have completed hatching my walls. So that just shows you that's something solid I've cut through, and that's why we hatch, to show that there is actually a material there. It's not just empty. It's not just two lines of some board or something. It's actually showing that that's solid. The other version of showing a solid wall is we can change that and go into hatch again. We can change the pattern to this one, and we can go pattern and we can angle it, and we can change that to that. Let's just make that 50, an angle of 50, and we can do that, and we can do that. Okay, that's layer of layer. You can also do that if you want, but for now we're just going to keep it solid because that's what it says in our little drawing PDF. All right, so I'm just going to stop the video there, and we'll move into the second part of task 1 practice exercise. Okay, so I'd just like you to get to this point here. All right.